Boy, I gotta tell you, I love these shows. I really do, because after we do the best of the year show, which this is, I become inundated with people who are stopping me in the shopping malls and in the stores and on the street. And they say the same thing. They say, your movies were a lot better than the ones selected for the Oscars. I keep telling you this. The coveted Fist of Fury Award is given to films that every year exemplify excellence in film entertainment. Now, there are two thoughts that go into making a movie. One is that the movies must be artsy, craftsy, and they must teach a lesson and help in social engineering and awareness of the masses. The other is, look, I just spent a hard week at work. I'll lay down my money for the ticket. Take me away and entertain me. And that's where the Fist of Fury comes in, and that's why it's so different than the Oscars. And tonight, we'll lay them all out for you, and I'm sure I'm going to hear the same thing again. It's all for you tonight on Outtakes with Fiore. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So nice to be with you. And I have to start off with a little bit of sad note. Originally, this episode of Outtakes is always featured with former Pittsburgh Press and Tribune Review film critic Ed Blank. Ed just couldn't clear up his schedule enough to make it to the show this year. I talked to him some months back, and he's heavily involved, as you know, with the Vietnam War vets, and they had an awful lot going on this year. It was an anniversary year for them, and he heads an awful lot of committees and groups that recognize accomplishments by Vietnam vets. And as a result, his schedule was just too filled up to come to. He told me it was a few weeks before the Oscars, and he still hadn't seen more than half of the films that were nominated, and he didn't think there was any way he could cram them all in. So apologize to those of you who came to see Ed's views or visit on this show as something to look forward to, but he will not be with us this year. We're going to fly this thing solo and probably in the process point out the big disparity between the Oscars and the Fist of Fury Award movies. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the Oscars did. Folks, if there was any clue, that this is an organization that's trying its best to social engineer you, the unwashed masses, just take a look at some of these lineups. I mean, Call Me By Your Name was not a very good movie. In fact, if it wasn't for the themes of homosexuality and pedophilia, I doubt it would have been recognized for anything. This movie is going to hurt Armie Hammer an awful lot because he was trying to establish himself as an action hero. This movie is counter to that, antithesis, and while it gave him some notoriety among the elites in Hollywood, it hurt him, and so much so that Guy Ritchie has paused and postponed his follow-up to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So we'll wait and see how that works out for you. Darkest Hour, if you check my review, it was good, but it was a whole lot slower than Dunkirk, which was on the same theme, and Dunkirk, frankly, was the better movie. Get Out was probably one of the biggest racist movies I've ever seen in the last, decade or so. What this movie was basically saying was that blacks were far genetically superior to any other races, and it was all about a group of people who are harvesting, if you will, black people so that they can live longer on their superior genetic. This sounded like Nazi Germany to me. I don't even understand how it was recognized, but it made a name for Jordan Peele, and it's going on. Lady Bird, if you check my reviews online, I made 22 minutes of this movie. It was that bad. After 22 minutes, I went, no, I can't go any further. The vodka isn't helping. It was gone. Some of these other ones, the Post had no business being up there. I mean, you're talking to somebody that lived through that era, and they distorted history so badly in this movie that I'm sitting there watching. I'm going, where did they even come up with this? I mean, the whole thing was just, now there were a couple of movies that made their top 10 list or their best movie list that I kind of sort of agree with them. Dunkirk was on there, and certainly that was good. That made my honorable mention, and so did Shape of Water. Three Billboards Outside of Ebbings, Missouri also made my list, and that's the only things that we agree on. So just to capsulize and summarize for you, if you will, here are the movies in a brief little montage of what the Oscars thought were the best movies of the year.
Gregor. Hey, boys.
What does it mean?
Well, I wouldn't like to say, sir.
I was captured by the Boer. I spent time in a South African prison.
Up your bum. Sir.
Up your bum. Up your...
The way you're doing it, sir, yes, sir. But if you turn it around, that's fine.
I know what you're thinking.
What?
Come on, I get it. White family, black servants. It's a total cliche.
I wasn't gonna take you there.
I hate the way it looks.
My name is Ladybird.
Well, actually, it's not, and it's ridiculous.
Call me
because your name
Ladybird
is
like
Christine.
you said you would.
You should just go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail, and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Oh, you're very fond of her, are you? Well, in that case.
No, don't turn it on me. I don't want your cloud on my head.
Shut up,
Oh, no,
Sue.
you can shut right up. Don't pick a fight with me. You certainly won't come out alive.
You know, we have language in the prospectus.
Yeah, I know that the bankers can change their mind. And I know what is at stake. You know, the only couple I knew that both Kennedy and LBJ wanted to socialize with was you and your husband, and you own the damn paper.
Oh. No, in fact, I was actually gonna take her to the circus later, but there's no need now. Does he juggle?
Look, I'm having one dinner with the guy because he did me a favor, okay?
You don't have to explain yourself to me because you're having dinner with a midget, Mildred.
I'm not explaining myself to you.
You kind of are.
My Brewster, no one's ever called him a great mind, but even he manages to hit the can 7% of the time. Excuse us, sir.
No. That's all right. Go ahead. You ladies seem to be chatting enjoyably. Girl talk, no doubt.
Now, I'm willing to guess that out of that collection that the Academy thought were the best pictures of the year, if you were lucky, you probably saw maybe two of them, and that was about it. You might go see some after the Oscars, but basically, there's nothing in these movies. But in these movies that I'm about to list for you, if you laid your hard money down for a ticket, you came out of the theater totally entertained. See if you agree. Here is a collection of what I consider the top movies of 2017.
Finally.
Hey, could you hold this for a second? Thanks.
Hey, is this anybody's bike?
You driving this vet around to
so she don't get lost, is that it?
That's what they asked me to do. It's not what I'm doing.
But what are you doing?
Gentlemen. Gentlemen.
I need a shot.
Hey there, Mildred. You didn't happen to pay a visit to the dentist today, did you?
No.
Huh?
I said no.
Oh, so it wasn't you who drilled a little hole in one of Big Fat Jeffrey's big fat thumbnails, no?
Of course not.
Huh?
I said, of course not. You drilled a hole in the dentist? Denise, no, I didn't.
I thought it was kind of funny myself, but he wants to press charges, so we're gonna have to bring you in, I'm afraid.
Now, you might be looking through some of that montage thinking, well, I wasn't sure what that movie was. How did that get in? Well, let me explain a couple of things to you, first off, before we go any further. It was probably one of the scariest movies I've seen in a long time, so that definitely made the list. And a movie that a lot of people ignored because it came out in January of 2017 was The Great Wall with Matt Damon. And everybody overlooked this thing. This thing had some great cinematography. It had a way out there plot and really good action. Probably one of only 3 movies that Matt Damon has ever made that I could actually sit and watch again. In fact, I've watched that one a couple of times. I enjoy it so much. And everybody just forgot about it because it came out in the beginning of the year. It was an awful lot of fun. John Wick 2 is in there strictly for the guys. What a great way to let off some steam. That was wonderful. And Wind River was the more cerebral of the action films in there. We'll talk more about these movies as we go along. But I wanted to get some of them in there and let you see that, you know, the Academy didn't come anywhere near to even recognizing some of the superhero movies, and they cleaned out the box office, you know. You'll see some on my list as we go along. Let's continue moving, though, as we go on. Best Actor for the Academy was Gary Oldman. He won for Darkest Hour. This was probably a shoo-in for Gary. Here's a look at his performance.
Hitler will not insist on outrageous terms. He will know his own weaknesses. He will be reasonable.
When will the lesson be learned? When will the lesson be learned? How many more dictators must be wooed, appeased, good God, given him mixed privileges, before we learn? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth!
Certainly kudos to Gary Oldman for winning the Best Actor. He did a fine job. He really did. The movie just wasn't that strong around him. If he didn't hold it up, it probably wasn't going to go anywhere. I saw things a little bit differently. Here's a little clip of who I thought were the best male performers in 2017.
No, I'm not even supposed to be here. I stole a light from Mr. Dennis, but he'll be back real soon. I can't steal a light for too long, or he'll know and get angry, etc.
Tried to plan for everything. But we let our guard down. And I tell you, you may have kids one day. You cannot blink.
What the hell's going on?
He heeds his master's voice. His life is calm.
Where are you going, boy?
A couple I want to point out to you there is everybody looked over James McAvoy in Split, and maybe again because the movie came out early in the year, but I thought he did a great job acting in that. He'll also be in the sequel. And Sam Rockwell pretty much carried 3 Billboards. I had him as the main star. And the Oscars didn't see it that way. They stuck him in the supporting actor, and I kind of got to disagree with that. I just don't see him in that role there. For Best Actress, the Oscars picked Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards, and this is probably the only award that I actually agree with them with.
Hey there, Mildred. You didn't happen to pay a visit to the dentist today, did you?
No.
Huh?
I heard no.
Oh, so it wasn't you who drilled a little hole in one of Big Fat Jeffrey's big fat thumbnails, no?
Of course not.
Huh?
I said, of course not. You drilled a hole in the dentist? Denise, no, I didn't.
I thought it was kind of funny myself, but he wants to press charges, so we're gonna have to bring you in, I'm afraid.
Can't really argue with that. I thought she did a really good job in the movie. The only other one, I should say, that I had up for the award was Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water. So we were kind of on the same page, old Oscars. Boy, that happens so rarely. I got to kind of wonder what they were thinking of there, because they were actually in a Fiore state of mind. For supporting actor, they gave it to Sam Rockwell, also from 3 Billboards. And like I said, I had him as one of the best actors, so I can't really fault that. He did a really good job.
Wait, actually, now get out of my ass. Mrs. Hayes, have a seat. What is it I can do for you today?
Where's Denise Watson?
Denise Watson's in the clank.
On what charge?
Possession.
Of what?
2 marijuana cigarettes.
I thought there was an absolute plethora of great supporting actors in 2017. Hey, don't take my word for it. I know you've seen all of these movies. Here's a little look at the best supporting actors, 2017.
Tom's a pretty good king. Keeps to himself mostly. This is his home. We're just guests here. Well, you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight.
The key to our escape is Jack Sparrow and the compass which he holds. No need to fear me, boy. I always leave one man alive to tell the tale. Find Sparrow for me and relay a message from Capitan Salazar. Salazar.
Does she know?
Know what?
So she does it. Good. Close to the vest. I admire that. I've got a few secrets of my own. Of all the reasons I didn't want my daughter to date Peter, nothing is more important than family. You saved my daughter's life, and I could never forget something like that, so I'm going to give you one chance. Are you ready? You walk through those doors, you forget any of this happened, and don't you ever, ever interfere with my business again.
If you find out who did this, I don't care who it is. You understand me? I really stand. Get off my porch and go do it.
It's really cool. You guys seem ready to do battle and stuff, but full transparency, I've never done battle. I've just pushed some people and run away.
Save one.
What?
Save one person.
Which one?
Don't talk, don't fight. Get in, get one out.
And then?
You'll know.
For Best Supporting Actress, the Academy gave the nod to Allison Janney for her supporting role in I, Tonya. I didn't even put I, Tonya on the list. I got to be honest with you. I didn't. This was Hollywood's glamorization of basically a criminal, and I said I just can't. I can't sit through this at all. Nonetheless, Miss Janney, I'm sure, is very, very happy with her award. It's been a long time coming, and here's a little look at her performance.
I mean, when I was a kid, did you ever love me or anything?
You think Sonia Henny's mother loved her? Poor you. I didn't stay home making apple brown betties. No, I made you a champion. Knowing you'd hate me for it. That's the sacrifice a mother makes.
Now, while she was good, I thought there were an awful lot of actresses who really dove into the supporting role with much better aplomb, shall we say, in 2017. Here's a little montage of my selections for Best Supporting Actress.
You're worried about my husband's safety? No one in this world can kill Darius Kincaid. The man is a cucaracha.
It felt crucial to me to meet her. I didn't want to do an impression of her, but I certainly wanted to reflect what she believed in and her spirit.
You know, I think an awful lot of times the Academy doesn't appreciate how difficult it is to be in a supporting role in a big tentpole type movie and pull it off. So in your supporting actors, when you bypass people like John Riley, Javier Bardem, and even Michael Keaton, you know, it's because they dismiss the movie and not that they're really looking at the performance. And I think the same thing happened with the ladies on this one, with Salma Hayek and Jennifer Connelly. Their movies may not have been, you know, award-winning movies, but their performances certainly held those movies up and made it worthwhile. And that's an awful lot harder to do than I think the Academy wants to give credit for. Speaking of the Academy, you know they want to go with their agenda. So is it really any surprise to you that a fantastic woman in this day of the empowered woman in the Hollywood agenda of the woman warrior would win for Best Foreign Film? Folks, this is another one of the movies where I think I made a little bit longer than 22 minutes. I think I got about 35 minutes into this one, and I said, nah, this isn't holding my interest. It's not worth the time to read the subtitles, and I shut it off. There were some really good movies, though, that came from overseas, and they were worth watching. 2 of my top 3 were comedies, and I got to tell you, I laughed pretty hard on there. Here's a look at what I thought were the best imports and films last year.
광주 가는 새길 같은 건 없습니까? 거기가 어디입니까?
Where are you going? 제시가 영어 쪽가 되잖아요. 예.
Are you Reporter?
Du hast gesagt 15. Das war netto, Junge.
Der Vertrag ist gar nicht gültig.
Was hat denn der Zivilist dazu melden?
Also ein Händler sollte im Vergleich zu einem Privatverkäufer eine Mindestgewährleistung von einem Jahr garantieren. Und die steht gar nicht drin. Insofern ist der Vertrag gar nicht gültig. Juristisch für Sie.
Mando!
Join me on the dark side!
Where's that?
Just over there.
Tatanka!
Slide to unlock.
Aladdin has blocked the lamp. You'll need a code.
As the old professor that I was, we're done now comparing and contrasting my selections with the Oscars. Let me give you something that the Oscars really don't do, and that is, you know, you're looking back on the year and say, gee, you know, I missed some of these movies. What would be the best? Here are the best films and categories which to spend your money. Let's start first with action films. There were a lot of nice action films put out in 2017. I was kind of happy about it, but these were the best.
Is he down?
Kal-El, no!
He's confused. He doesn't know who he is.
Pet Cemetery.
Arthur, we need to restrain him.
I got
Now, as someone who, all the way back in elementary school, was weaned on vampires and werewolves and creatures from the Black Lagoon, I have a special place in my heart for horror and sci-fi. And I gotta tell you, I'm not big on these slasher films. I know that's where they put that category. Nah, I don't like that. I like the supernatural creatures that go bump in the night. There were several of them that came out last year that were really good. And I gotta tell you that 2 out of these were independent films. So you might not recognize them, but they are definitely worth your viewing. The best horror sci-fi films of 2017.
Sorry, buddy.
Get them out. Now we move the cylinder into the compressor.
And finally, it's all for laughs, right? So let's take a look at the best comedies of the year. And let me give you a caveat before we play up this montage for you. I have 2 superhero movies in this, Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok. Now, this upsets the fanboys and the comic geeks an awful lot. But I got to tell you, when I watch these movies, I'm laughing my head off. They get upset about this because I guess the comics are supposed to be serious. These were really good, funny movies. Here's a look.
Asha! No, that's it. I'm going with her.
You would leave me for some horologist in her knickers?
Yes.
You men are all alike. Know how long I've been waiting for this?
Oh, no, I'm not gonna look.
No, mother!
Hey, Karen, what else can this suit do? What? Maybe we should run that refresher course.
Ricochet web.
Ricochet web. Whoa! Cool.
Stutter web. Web grenade.
Web grenade!
Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. If you want to get back to place, Asperg.
Asgard!
Any contender who defeats my champion, their freedom they shall win.
Folks, let's wrap this all up for you. In my estimation, the Fist of Fury Award winners, the movies that are worth repeated viewings for 2017 are as follows. John Wick, Chapter 2. The Great Wall with Matt Damon. Dunkirk, which was the military version of what The Darkest Hour did politically. Wind River, which was probably the closest movie to a Longmire episode you'll ever see. It, which brings back horror in a good traditional way. Justice League, which gave superheroes something to team for. 2, 1. And finally, 3 Billboards outside of Ebbings, Missouri. This was your adult drama for the year. Hey, that's all the time we have for today, and I'm sure, once again, you're going to say, your list of best movies for the year was a hell of a lot better than the Oscars. Always are, always will be. Until the next time, I'm Fiore, and I will see you in the theater.